Okay, today I'm going to take a look at the Open MVS project. This is a project where you take an arcade board and consolize it. So the first thing first is to choose which board and what type of design you're going to go with. There are many arcade boards, 2, 1 slot, 6 slot boards, all born from the arcade, and there are obviously people have gone with different ones, but there is one particular board which does stand out above all the rest, which is perfect for consolization, and that's the MVC1. Biggest reason for that is it's a top loader, low profile and small, so it's a perfect board for this project, and it fits perfectly in all these cases that have been designed by some really talented people. Okay, first things first, so we've got to either buy our own case ready to go, or we're going to 3D print our own. I do own a 3D printer, the CR6 SE, so I thought I'd give it a go at printing my own case. Here I'm just printing a few bits. I went with quite a few designs just to see which one I fancied the most, but I did really go back to the one that most people tend to use with this particular motherboard, and that's obviously the one at the beginning of this video. So I tried printing it up, I tried printing it down, inside out sort of thing, and I got different results, and I decided to go with rather than paint it, I decided to go with a 3D filament and print it straight from that, because obviously this one I'm painting in black with the intention of spraying it. I just, like I said, I didn't really get the finish that I wanted, so I decided to print straight from the filament and keep that colour. So this is the base tray, this is what the motherboard sits on. So once we've got your board, your case and that prepped and you're ready to rock and roll, first things first, you've got to prep the board because it won't fit in straight out the box. There are a number of things that need to be changed. Obviously, one of the most obvious corrections is this heatsink needs to be removed because it's far too tall to fit in those cases. They are quite slimline. This involves undoing the actual, I think it's like a little amplifier, an audio amplifier I think is what needs to be just brought forward. There are a couple of different options with that I'll come to in a minute, but first things first, the heatsink's got to come off. So I tried a number of options. I tried a suction gun. I couldn't generate enough heat because it's quite a chunky heatsink for obvious reasons, so it just wouldn't come out. So I'm just going over there with the tip that you can see, and that tip just isn't big enough. It just the heat sinks away far too much. So I'm going with a bit of flux and a large tip just to get enough heat in there to desolder those two big posts that are holding that heat sink on. Even then, it still takes quite a bit of time just to let that heat sink in and just take out that solder, and it will, if you get it warm enough and you suck away that solder, it will break away quite nicely. You just got to be gentle and take your time. With that heatsink removed, you have an option whether to leave the audio amp in place or remove it. You can just bend it forward very gently and leave it on the board just in case you want to return it to an arcade, as a no damage conversion. But I decided that this was never going to go back into an arcade, so I decided to take the audio amp out and completely remove it, so it's a nicer, cleaner install into the console. So with that removed, that's one of the major things. It needs to have the coin cell, the original battery, as you can see on that board that I've already removed and put a different type of replaceable battery on there. That capacitor needs to be laid down. I did recap the entire board just for safety's sake. There wasn't any leaking capacitors or anything, but I thought it's always a good move just to make sure everything's recapped, because I don't want to be going back into here in years to come and having to redo this. I'd rather get it all done and dusted in the one hit. This is an audio mod. This allows, as I believe that this is the original system didn't output, and they've just taken this output easier off here. So just soldering these two wires onto this audio chip, which will go round and onto a little audio board on the back of the console that comes with the kit. The kit I did purchase, as a complete kit. I didn't buy the parts individually. The Open MVS kit is available to buy, as a ready-to-go kit. So you get the jammer interface, you get this audio board, you get the video output boards and stuff like that, all with it, which is great. There's no messing around. It's a very, very easy, conversion to do. Really, it's a little bit of work really just to convert it over, and it's pretty much ready to go. So as you can see, that's all nice and clean. So once we've got all the prep work done on the board and the cases already, it's time for assembly. So this is the lower 3D printed shell, and this is the jammer interface. Comes with all the buttons, joystick controllers, all the power inputs, everything ready to go. So very, very simple. It's a little bit stiff to put on, but nothing too horrible. I am very new to the open MVS concept. You know, I've always dreamed of having this. I had a converter board for my AES, which allowed me to play MVS carts. So it wasn't something I had to build this, but this new kit that's become available has allowed this to become quite an easy conversion. And like you say, the 3D printable files that allow you to print your own case, it's all becoming of age that this is really quite a nice easy project to do nowadays. Most people didn't use this particular board. They used the board that was like a front loader rather than this top loader, but this, like I said, this is a perfect board for consolization. I've popped the board in. Like I say, this is my first time of doing anything like this, so I quickly realised that the cables that go from front to rear, that white cable that carries the audio video information and the power there, are going straight over the cartridge slot. So it quickly becomes obvious that I need to remove the board and run these cables underneath the board to allow easy insertion of the game cartridge. I'm quite happy with the 3D print that I've done. It isn't perfect. My printer isn't particularly expensive. I think if I really want something fancy, I probably would have employed somebody like PCBWay or somebody like that to have either resin printed it or 3D printed it for me. They seem to do some cracking work in that respect, but I just wanted it's more personal when you do it yourself and you use your own equipment and your own and all the rest of it. And because some people have developed the CAD files for you, 3D files for you, it's nice and easy to take those files and drop them into your printer, and obviously away you go. So everything seems to be fitting perfectly. It doesn't feel like it needed to be brass inserted. I did the Game Gear conversion where all the screw threads were brass inserts, and that was novel. I've not used that before, but I don't feel this is going to be taken to bits that often. I think once it's assembled and it's all working, I think I've done a good enough job to future-proof this for a while. That's why I wanted the capacitors all to be changed and everything. The coin cells are rechargeable ones, so you can go with a non-rechargeable battery, but I think you have to fit a diode in there just to stop things charging. So just adding the audio connection through to this nice little daughter board, and it is been very well thought out. I'm very impressed with the way everything goes together. It's not complex. I think once you get the hang of where everything needs to be, it all slots together quite nicely. At this point, I didn't know if the actual board worked. I bought it as working from a person in Mexico. They're not massively available. I've just recently bought another board. There is another version of this. I think it's called the C-Box that I've purchased, which I'm waiting to come from France. There are still quite a few available in Japan, these boards, but I'm a bit wary of are they going to work when they get here. I've not actually done any troubleshooting on any of these Neo Geo boards. I've got a lot larger front-loading board that I've bought, which has got a lot of battery damage, which I'm gradually working my way through. Whether it will work at the end of the day, I don't know. I've not actually dared turn it on yet. And that was the case with this board. It looked in good condition. I had a good look over it. There was no corrosion on the traces. Like I say, give it a full recap and rebuilt everything. So there's the joystick ports, and a closer look at all the board installed into the Open MVS case. So I'm really pleased. It's very, very tidy. The board's in good condition. So at this moment in time, I've got quite positive vibes that it is actually going to work. So we're going to be just popping the top lid onto this case in a moment. But when I actually put the top case on, I realised that I wanted a bit more pizzazz to it. So what I did, I where the fuse that was just visible in the video a few minutes ago, that is being delivered with 5 volts. So I decided to take a feed from that and just put in a little bit of an LED strip over the top of these 2 chips so that it illuminated the MVS logo when you turned it on. This is obviously the main cartridge slot, and there's like a little insert, like gasket, if that's the best way to call it, that sits inside there, like a washer, or don't know what you would call it. And then the little bolts that are supplied, everything's supplied in the kit, all the bolts are supplied in the kit, which makes it really nice and easy. They're all at different lengths, and they're all in nice individual packets that show you where everything should be located. And you mustn't go too tight on these, because you've got to remember that these are screwing into plastic, so it's not something you want to go mad on. Like I say, maybe in a future build, or if I do return to this, I'd probably think about drilling these holes out very slightly and putting in brass inserts so that it should allow, you know, these things to be taken in and out at a regular, you know, quite a few times. So that's a 161 in 1 cartridge, and I quite like that little, just something I thought about doing. There is an LED on the front of the case, so you could leave it there. That's not been painted, that's just the colour straight out the filament, so I didn't have to do anything with it. So some people have painted them a nice glossy red. It's just what I decided to do with what I got. So let's have a go. This is normal for a Neo Geo board. It doesn't boot straight into the loading screen. It comes up with all that sort of you don't think, you panic for a moment when you first turn one on. And this is, like I say, I'm very new to this. I've been into Neo Geo, but it's been the AES and the CD-ROM consoles. But I did really want to get into this side of it, and I think I am going to look into buying the Terror Onions ROM cart for the Neo Geo, just so that I could work my way through the entire catalogue better. So this is it running, you know, through a capture card. There are the reason I've denoted this as being part 1 is that I know that there are more modifications that need to be done on this. There is a modified BIOS, which I do have the little chip that goes over the processor to give you a different type of BIOS, so that you can add cheats and do other things in the menu. I believe there is also a timing fix so that it can run quicker. I'm not sure, I haven't looked into all of this yet. I just wanted to get a working system, really, from the point of view of a working shell and a working board, and to bring all that together. Just basically stage 1, because again, I've been predominantly more console based and console modification. So this being an arcade board, I know I have arcades on my YouTube channel, you know, with my Daytona and my Ridge Racer and stuff like that, but they're more, you know, they're thoroughbred arcade ports from Sega and stuff like that are a completely different beast. You know, the Jammer standard is a completely different beast in that respect, and I've not been involved in that at all, really, up until this point from an arcade perspective. So it's really cool to see what is available to us now. And it puts it in a nice usable package that's easy to connect to your TV and everything. So if you've made it this far, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you again in the next video. Bye for now.